I don't know that this is something, I mean, America doesn't have a great track record on trying to drive regime changes in other countries, but we have to be fully prepared and not know what that regime change is going to be. And that regime change, I mean, we saw that there was an attempt at a regime change with Prigozhin, and that certainly weakened the, between the different mob bosses, there's certainly different a power structure today than there was a month ago.
Sure.
And who knows, maybe it'll happen for us.
All right, so let's do a little bit of economics lightning rounds. My sense from, watching you speak, reading your website is you're kind of a traditional economic conservative. So let me ask you on a number of issues, and Sagar and I can go back and forth here. So on the Social Security program, do you think it should be cut? Do you think it should be left alone? Or do you think it should be increased?
North Dakota this year, we were able to successfully, after 30 years of debate, close the defined benefit pension plan for state employees and at the same time protect every employee that's in it. The advances that are coming on genomic medicine, I mean, there's going to be entire disease classes that get eliminated the next 10 or 15 years. I think every actuarial table in America is off.
So just cut, keep it the way it is, or increase. And in terms of cuts, what I'm reading into what you're saying is for people who are in it, they're going to be fine. But what about younger Americans?
Well,
what would you say to them?
Well, your question suggests that those are only the three choices. And I think what we have to do, where we've made a commitment to Americans, we have to protect that. If we've made a commitment, you're in Social Security, we have to protect that. But we also can't bankrupt America. At the same time, on the other side, you have to figure out a way to be smart about doing it. And part of that has got to be economic growth, because if we don't have our economy,
so young Americans could potentially see cuts.
Right. So if we paid into the system, I'm 31. Yeah, I guess I haven't paid into the system that long. I mean, my eye on the chopping block. Like, would under your kind of analysis here, presumably I would benefit from the genomic medicine.
As a 31-year-old, as a 31-year-old, well, you're going to be living to be 100. But
hopefully.
But
yeah,
I mean, all you youngsters are going to live that long. But I mean, do you expect that you're going to see a paycheck?
I don't know. I mean,
I expect
depending
that
on it?
Since the government has made that commitment, the government should fulfill that commitment.
I paid a lot of money in payroll taxes.
I also know what Social Security has meant for old age poverty. I also know that it's one of the most popular social programs in the history of the country. So the American people are certainly on the side of let's figure out how to keep benefits the way they are.
Yes, and if you've got both parties agreeing that you can't touch it, and it's financially and actuarially completally unsound.
Well, you can always lift the cap, and that would very much change
we can
the
change
revenue.
payroll tax.
So you guys are saying we have something that's financially going to drive us off a cliff.
We're trying to get you nailed down on what you think.
Yeah, but you're saying that we shouldn't fix things that are broken. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I think what we're advocating, or what we're trying to advocate for, is the vast majority of even Republican seniors. Hands off my Medicare was a huge part of the Tea Party movement back in 2010. Same with Social Security. A lot of these seniors and even people who are 40s, 50s coming into the system feel as if that their future is uncertain. So I mean, at that very basic level, like, speak to them, to those people who are like, hey, I'm afraid. Are you going to take my money away? Like, I barely am able to make my mortgage right now with inflation, with freaking home insurance and all this stuff. I've got a fixed income. I think, 50-something% of these seniors relying entirely on Social Security. Just speak to the concern that those people have right now. And also to people like us who are like looking at the system and saying, hey, maybe, let's say you haven't done so well in life, like that's at least one thing that you can rely on whenever you get old.
And I think that's why we say at all costs you have to protect that system for those people, the ones that you're talking about, has to be protected. Social Security, Medicaid, we've got to protect that. But if we have that there, we still have to, as a country, we have to say, okay, we're protecting that, but does that preclude us from actually having a discussion across the country of saying, how do we do things that actually are financially viable for future generations?
I don't know what that means. So be a little more specific, because I feel like you're not giving us a direct answer.
I'm giving you
part of what you would be looking at for people who aren't in the program yet, reducing the benefits, or would you be looking more toward the side of, okay, how do we bring in more revenue? Because I'll tell you, I think a lot of people look at, all the money that we're spending in the Ukraine war, and it's like, there's always money for the Pentagon, there's always money for the defense industry, there's always money for the Ukraine war, but there's this constant fixation on how do we peel back the pennies that are given to ordinary Americans.
Well, we're spending $2 trillion on complete folly around forcing an ideology around an energy policy, where we're going to subsidize 500,000 EV charging stations. We're going to subsidize people buying expensive EV cars, and we're going to buy batteries from China, because China controls 85% of all the rare earth minerals in the world, and so we're just trading OPEC for Sino-OPEC.
So are we going to use that money for Social Security?
Well, it certainly would be a better use because, again, we figured out in this nation through markets, how to, you know, how to provide transportation without saying, if you want to have 500,000 EV charging stations and you can't get a permit to build a transmission line, and at the same time, we're trying to shut down all the base load in this country, you'd need 5 times the transmission lines to run those things. So the policies that we're literally spending trillions on don't make any sense economically, physics, any of that.
We're still not talking about Social Security, but what?
Well, we are, but I mean, that would free up. You're saying, where's the dollars?
So you're saying some of those dollars would be
There's all kinds of dollars that would be freed up to fix the thing that really matter to take care of
So
Americans.
no cuts to Social Security for young people. Okay. Is that yes?
Well, you could say yes, no cuts for young people as a politician, and then guess what? 40 or 50 years from now, where's the money coming from?
You're running for president. People want to know, what do you think on this issue? What would you do? What would your approach be?
I think I'm honest about the fact that the thing is not actuarially sound.
Okay.
And so
that
if we
it'd
have
be on the table, effectively.
No, we have to protect everybody that's in the program right now. But then how do you solve a problem when there's not enough money to pay for it? You have to have growth. And part of the way you have growth is you get rid of the red tape, you have innovation, not regulation, you have an energy policy that allows our economy to sprint, not just crawl or fail. And then we stop doing things that are supporting China, like our energy policy is a huge win for China.
Your team's telling us that you have to go. So you've done very well in your life. Do you think that you pay too high, too low, or just about the right in terms of taxes, and for people who have also done very well?
Well, in North Dakota, we're working to eliminate income taxes because you want to have an incentive.
Well, on the federal system. So you're running for president. So how do you think the federal tax regime treats, your people of your net worth and higher? There's a lot of people who, even Republicans, really are concerned about that. I'm just curious. We very rarely get to speak to somebody like you, who's both a high net worth individual and a politician. So how do you look at the current tax regime federally, of which you would be in charge of?
Well, one of the things that I love about one of the few places government does not provide competition. One of the few places it does provide competition is at the state level, where different states can have a state with less regulation and lower taxes. And guess what? It attracts talent and capital to come to those locations. And everybody asks these questions about tax policy like there's not movement of talent. We should be trying to attract all the talent in the world to come to America. This is the land of opportunity. We should be creating a place where capital and talent want to come to our country as opposed to be driving away. And then everybody assumes, it's like if you have a bad product and you're in business, you have a bad product and say, hey, we're losing money. What should we do? Let's raise price on our product. Well, then you'd go out of business because people aren't paying your product
anyway. So you think
anyway.
we should have lower taxes so more rich people from other countries should move here?
It's not about rich people. It's about,
upper
we have income.
engineers.
I started out with basically nothing.